We can start with the question, is there a hope for humanity? Or is that hope just a postponed disappointment? We are standing at the border of our consciousness, and we are challenged to become conscious. Experiencing this border, we reach a point which another way begins an upward path. And the shift of consciousness starts with individual, but extend to the multitude, to others, to the whole. Just as our soul extends and envelops everything, unlike the personality that draws everything to itself and obscures it. Knowledge of the essence of the soul is necessary to imagine this fundamental change. And our goal is the realization and the growth of this new soul, a soul with eternal value. On the other side, we as a personality have an important role in this process. We must develop our personality in order to take our place in the world. But also that same personality must become a servant to the new soul, which is the higher aspect of our being. In this process of fulfillment, we are becoming whole, or we are being healed. Does that mean that we are not whole? That we lack something essential? The self-knowledge that we talk about create an openness that will allow that last remnant of the spirit within us to begin reacting to the Gnostic light, a magnetic radiation field of a different order. This impulse is a driving force. And the person in the process no longer finds the satisfaction in this world and is the one who dares to change the direction. That longing to become whole, we call the desires for salvation. When our thinking, feeling, willing, and acting starts to change, that is the moment of fundamental change due to the insight into the twofold nature of our being. Then Gnostic forces are working in our being. Our blood is filled with the Gnostic power, and a new stream of life awakens the insight in the head. And when we create a space in our lives to this new light force, we are in the process of becoming whole again.
Today, as we heard at the beginning, we're talking about the path of inner revolution. And we're focusing on awakening our inner consciousness, especially in these turbulent times we live in today, that are really full of changes. It's important to mention that a positive reaction to change can only result from really our own personal inner decision to follow a path. In our school, there are 3 images that symbolize this path. You've probably seen it before. It's the circle, the triangle, and the square. You can see it on the slide here. These images really represent the symbol of our school. As you know, all the symbols usually have multiple meanings, and that is the case with the symbol of our school. But it's really maybe important to highlight that the symbolism of the triangle, the square, and the circle represent the most important concepts of our school, the most important concepts of the Golden Rosy Cross. We'll start with the point in the center, because that is the beginning and the end. That's where everything starts, and with that everything ends. This is the point that represents the universal consciousness, the force of the spirit. And this force is known under many different names and has been known through history in many different traditions. You probably heard about terms such as Atman, lotus flower, even inner Christ. In our school, we tend to use the terminology spirit spark or even a rosebud. Those are all the names that are here represented with the point in the center. And this is really the beginning, because this is the only possible basis for the manifestation of the new consciousness. So it's eternity, it's really the divine field from which everything develops. Then we see the triangle. The triangle, the tree, represents the three aspects of the divine activity, providing us help with which the whole path that we will be talking about here today can be walked. It's an equilateral triangle that symbolizes the new consciousness. And that new consciousness is formed by the balance of the three new capacities. And here we're talking about the new thinking, the new feeling, and the new willing, or the new deed, the new action. So therefore, the triangle is really related to the fundamental change, to the fundamental reversal. And we can look at our own state of being from the perspective of this triangle. When we are talking about thinking, feeling, and willing, they form the fiery triangle, the trigonum igneum, as it is called, where the three new aspects must develop in a perfect balance. Therefore, the triangle has all three sides equal in length. It also symbolizes the regeneration of the spirit, soul, and personality, which is really the underlying formula for the spiritual rebirth. However, the human being today is in harmony with the earthly nature. And therefore, the triangle in us, the triangle in a natural man, is not equilateral, and the sides are not same in length. So as an example, when our thinking faculty is predominant aspect, then feeling and will are subordinate. And we all know these people. Those are the people who analyze a lot. They think a lot, that may be overthinking very often. When there is an excessive activity of feeling, then we can say that thought and will are totally absent. And in a case where the will manifests itself in access, then the intellect or heart are not able to express itself on an equal level. And so that is our current state of being. And the question, of course, is, can we free ourselves from this state of being? And the answer is yes, of course. But it's important to understand that we have to become this equilateral triangle again. And we can do that by the fundamental reversal, by the fundamental change. And only through this fundamental reversal, the balance of the triangle will be found again. The actions that we can take include building a new inner temple, the new state of being. And these actions are symbolized by the square that you can see in the symbol, and we call it a square of construction. It is really on this square of construction that our blood, our state of hormonal and nervous system can be overcome and transformed through the gnosis, through the Gnostic light. So the square here in the symbol indicates the transformation of our life through the new consciousness. And the four sides indicate the transformation of all the vehicles of the human personality, starting from our physical bodies and then to the most subtle aspects, etheric, astral, and mental bodies. So the square really is our fourfold human personality, as well as four holy ethers, which enable this transfiguration of the human being and enable the construction of the new personality. And the circle is, it indicates the conscious and perfect reintegration, the conscious and perfect realignment of the individual with the spirit, with the universal plane, with the point that we see here in the center. So it's the realization of the great objective of the human existence. Circle really represents, and it represents the true new man that is reconnected with the spirit again. So now you can see how this symbolism of the triangle, the square, and the circle can really serve to describe the whole path of inner revolution that we are talking about here today. And it really illustrates some of the most important concepts of our school.
After what is being said, we need to talk about how consciousness works, which is an aspect of our life, and how consciousness can be renovated through the process that was described from Lydia when she was talking about the symbol of our school. Current science recognizes consciousness as the knowledge that human beings have of their own existence, their states, and their actions. Also, how you relate this aspect to reality that surrounds you. Science further recognizes that each individual's perception of reality, of consciousness, is limited to and correspond to his or her state of being, rather than to the reality itself. In this, the spiritual school of the Golden Rosy Cross agrees when it expresses state of consciousness, it is state of life. The spiritual school also adds that consciousness is one of the aspects of the soul. And the aspects that compound the soul together with the consciousness are the blood, the hormone fluid, the nervous system with its fluids, and the serpent fire, which is what is transmitted in our spine, in and out, or up and down. So this aspect conforms together with the consciousness, the soul. And when the process described is carried out in a general way, a new soul arises. Therefore, a new consciousness also arises. is you in your daily life, as part of yourself, as part of your self-knowledge, observe about you, that as a consequence of having offered to yourself, to your new soul, you have a single purpose in your life. Also, accomplishing your responsibilities, your duties, your interaction with your families and your work, without being attached to them, knowing that you have a single purpose innerly. If you also see yourself and observe yourself with consciousness, that you in your life has harmony in the activities that you do and in the dynamics of these activities on the basis of the soul, plus you see yourself as a consequence of this process, again, having no conflict, or at least trying at the best of your capacity to apply non-conflict in your life, in your interaction with others, and in the interaction within yourself. And besides all of this, if you observe consciously that as a consequence of this process, you experience in your daily life a unity with everyone and with everything, at least to the best of your capacity, or to a certain extent, then you can say that you are realizing within yourself what the symbol of our school represents. Then the square is transforming in non-conflict, single purpose, harmony in your activities, and unity with everything and with everyone. You also could see that the aspects of the triangles, of the triangle that Lydia expressed, are being fulfilled. And then the consummation of the circle, that what the circle represents, it is also taking place. There are just a few of us that made this decision and continue to make it. So when we realize this, our spiritual consciousness that is in the center of our being, it blossoms and it helps back again when you open your head and your heart and they get harmonious. Then that consummation of the circle influences the triangle in what it means: the Father, the Son, and the Spirit in your will, described by Lydia as thoughts, new thoughts, feelings and emotion, new feelings and emotions, and will, new activities in your life. Then the new consciousness is awakening. Then the new soul is taking place in your life.